Record. Okay, so hello everybody, good evening. Thank you so much for being patient with me today. Shortly after our session on Monday night, came down with a blinding, horrible blinding migraine. I don't know if any of you have had to deal with them. If you haven't, bless you. If you have, then you know how completely debilitating they can be. And I just couldn't even think yesterday. I stayed in bed pretty much the whole day and had my husband waiting on me because I just was not going to be able to be at the computer and teach you guys. And that's also why grades are a little bit behind right now. But I am diligently working on them, and we'll get you your assignments graded as soon as I can. So we are, this is Wednesday night, second last session of week 2, DES109 Graphic Design 1, and let us get cranking into this session. Okay, you guys don't need to see me anymore. There we go, stop. Okay, so for our agenda tonight, we'll just briefly go over, last week, or the review from Monday's session. Actually, we already went over the discussion details in Monday's session, so we should be good there. So we should hopefully have some more time to do a critique or two. We have Devin, Kevin, and Heather in with us tonight, and Devin had, Kevin, my goodness, I apologize if I'm going to keep doing that to you guys this mod. Kevin had actually asked a question before we started, and I'm going to make sure that I actually go over that really quickly at the end. And if we have some more time, we'll do a couple more critiques. The main thing for today is we're going to be going over the learning objectives and the assignment for this week. And then I'll briefly go over the assessment because the assessment's kind of coordinating with the assignment for this week. It's one of the things I actually like about this class. A lot of the things are kind of intertwined. So for week 2, like I said, oh my goodness, we have, my God, that bell is so loud. Looks like we have Amber that's coming in right now, and I am just going to actually switch over to the announcements real quick. We'll go over those. Let's see. Okay. And for those of you that are watching today, you saw that I had put up, or hopefully you would have seen that I put up the announcement yesterday once I realized I wasn't going to be able to do the session last night. I did try to make sure that I also got an email out to everybody, just in case you hadn't seen the announcements, but that's one great place to be looking for those kinds of things. So we have, for this week, we went over, there's how to give and receive a design critique. I kind of went over that the other day. We have a good grammar is like personal hygiene. This is actually one of my favorite announcements because it's pretty basic, but it really is, making sure that your grammar is correct can really aid in properly communicating your message. And so this is just a few tips or a few benefits of making sure that your grammar is accurate. There's an article on LinkedIn, and it's a very quick read. Just making sure that your grammar is accurate can totally save you a lot of time. It maybe puts in a few extra minutes in the design process, but overall it shows you better, it shows your customer better, and just overall can save you actually a lot of time. And then in addition to that, I like to put these two kind of back to back. Is a plugin for Grammarly. I actually use it as well. You can see my little thing up here. When you're typing in Grammarly, it will actually make suggestions for you. It's very similar to the the spell check and grammar check in Microsoft Word, except it does it here on the internet. And it actually makes a lot of great suggestions as well. So I highly recommend using that if you haven't already. It functions wonderfully, even in your discussion posts and stuff like that, and kind of like teaches you without actually teaching you. So that's always very helpful, I like. And hello, Amber. I wanted to make sure I said hi to you when you came in. Heather says she uses Grammarly. It's so helpful. I just feel the time told the guy, told a French guy, you're Kevin with a D. So, so he called you Bonjour, Kevin with a D. Well, that must have been very confusing. All right, so we have gone over the announcements. The other day we actually went over the media as well, so the media page, the pre-recorded session, the video, so I'll skip over that as well. We went over the discussion, design principles, as a guide, working with the elements as well. And oops, excuse me, I just scrolled down by accident. And we'll go on to our learning objectives in just a second. We'll be doing the assignment, which is an era-themed advertisement. So it's going to be a little bit, kind of like an extension from last week with the flashcards. Slightly different spin on it, and then our assessment is actually working with the design process and the self-critique. So week 2 learning objectives, we're discussing in the discussion the relationship that the basic design principles and the elements have with the foundations of graphic design. So essentially we're talking about the elements and the principles, how they work together to create something awesome, or even just fairly basic, but hopefully aesthetic looking. And we're talking about those menus and how we can improve upon them by using those principles and those elements. We're going to be doing, in our assignment, we're going to be applying a design style to a composition using those cultural influences. So again, like I like to kind of have these learning objectives, read them out to you, and then essentially break it down in slightly more coherent or understandable way, which we're essentially, with the assignment, we're taking that era that we researched last week, one of the 3 of them, and we're going to apply it towards a composition we're creating or design. And then in our assessment, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, or maybe not. Our assessment, we are analyzing the design principle usage in our personal project creation. So we're going to take our assignment and we're going to analyze how we decided to use the principles, how we decided to use the elements, and explain why we did what we did, how we did what we did, whether or not we think that they worked. Hopefully we think that they worked. And, even if you think that it can be improved upon, I've definitely had students that they finish their poster and they're actually not happy with it. And that is totally fine. That happens plenty in this industry. I've definitely had plenty of logos or pamphlets or whatever that I look at afterwards and go, ugh, I can't believe, like, I don't even want to put my name on that. It happens. And as long as you can acknowledge that and then use it to improve your work in the future, that's great. So that's what we'll be doing this week. Week 2, just to reiterate, there's the pre-recorded session, the 2-hour session. Just make sure you work on that. Talks about line, dot, the texture, color, all those other different elements and exactly how they work with the principles. There are at least, I think it's 2 articles in the PDFs. You can definitely go to the SSC for writing help. You can obviously contact me if you need additional help. And then the lynda.com playlist is on Illustrator tools, drawing shapes, and then working with type and whatnot. And so we are actually going to do our secret question early today. What is one of my biggest fears? And I actually have 2 on here, so I actually need to revamp this slide a little bit. But Amber, Devin, Heather, and Kevin, any idea? Oh, Devin, you definitely read my introduction discussion post. Yes, one of my biggest fears is spiders. I hate them. And so I decided several years back when I decided to do my company, my husband and I thought it would be smart to, how did you know, Amber? I feel like you've either taken this class before or you maybe knew someone that took this class, because boom, either that or you like watched something. Did I scroll through this session one day? Because my husband and I joke that we are going to be ready when AI takes over. We don't have an Echo Dot or an Alexa or anything in our house because we're totally freaked out by them. I do still have my cell phone, which I know listens plenty, but so yeah, like now you're freaking me out, Amber. you must be listening in on my stuff too. So, okay, we are just going to cruise right along today. We actually managed to get through the first part of the presentation there in less than 15 minutes, which is awesome. Yes, Kevin, Big Brother, totally. I didn't read 1984 until I got out of high school, but oh my God, it spoke way too much to me. And I'm definitely not, you know, a conspiracy theorist by any means, but it does freak me out quite a bit. You know, and it doesn't help that my daughter's name is Alexis. So anytime at my parents' house, anytime anyone says Alexis, Alexa starts doing stuff over in their kitchen counter. So actually, I'm going to open up the instructions first for assignment number 2. And yes, George Orwell did a wonderful job with that book, Amber. I actually was also a very big fan of, oops, no, not home. It was not George Orwell, it was Aldous Huxley. Brave New World was also one of my favorites. All right, we are in our advertising makeover. Okay, so for assignment number 2, this week, we have a couple of different links here in the prompt, so just make sure you pay attention to that. We are going to be returning to, scroll, there we go, pull that up a little bit. You're going to be returning to the 3 areas that you were researching for your flashcards in week 1. So this file right here, actually, I think that actually brings us straight to these. Yeah, that brings us to the week 1 assignment. Right over here, this file is the exact same file that you downloaded from the first week. Okay, so it's going to have the 10 different eras, and then a handful of links that it already had there. That just as a reminder, if you happen to delete it or you don't remember or whatever. So you're going to have that information right there. Scroll right back down. The next thing you're going to do, 42. Oh, he's just, yes. Oh, I'll have to show you guys the thing that I have hanging in my kitchen, not my kitchen, my living room. You know, I'm not even going to spend time trying to explain it to you. I'll just take a picture of it and I'll send it to you guys because that's on there. Good movie too. So the next thing you're going to be doing is you're actually going to be downloading this file right here, which I have already done. It's right down here. It's my Word document. And very, very often you guys are going to find you have a client, you have an employer, whatever. They're looking for a particular project. They need very specific copy on that project, whether it's a poster or a social media banner or a CD cover or whatever. They're going to have very specific text that they need included in your project. So for this week, this is the text that you need to make sure is included in your project. If you want to change the date to 2019, that's totally fine. I'm obviously not going to take off points for that one. Don't include the word text. That's just, you know, for clarification purposes. You are then going to take a look at the assignment instructions right here. We're going to be using Illustrator this week, so not InDesign, which is what we used last week. Your ad is going to be 300 by 600 pixels. Okay, last week we did inches. This week it's pixels. We have our naming convention right here. And then make sure that you save it as a PDF because that's what I can view in Canvas. And if I can't view it, I can't grade it. And I don't want to give someone a 0 because I can't see their project. So what you are going to be doing is you're going to be taking one of the flashcards, or one of the errors that you used on your flashcards, and you're going to be applying that style to your text right here. Okay, so for example, let me see, because I try to do a different one every single class, just so I, you know, kind of keep it. I was gonna say funky fresh, but that's awful. But I can't believe I just said that. I try to keep it new, and I try to do a different design for each assignment, just so it doesn't get boring, not only for myself but for you guys. And you guys can actually see my process as I'm doing it. So I have not actually done a psychedelic one yet. So I suppose I will do it. We're going to pretend that one of my flashcards was in the psychedelic style. Okay, and so for example, I'm just going to show you the benchmarks real quick. We have 2 examples. Don't use chalk duster font. Don't worry, I won't. I actually have one in mind, but I don't know if I even have it installed on this machine, so we'll see. We'll see. So we have 2 examples here. This, I believe, was the Swiss, yes, the Swiss style that this individual decided to use. So very kind of grid-like, mathematical, you know, lots of plain sans serif fonts, but you can see they used a lot of contrast with the different sizes and weights and styles of these particular fonts. They're missing the date here, so I don't know if that was something that they added into the assignment after these benchmarks were put up, or if this particular student just missed it, but either way. And it kind of has like a really basic color scheme too. They don't, in that particular style, they don't get too crazy. You know, so they kind of did like a nice clean, organized kind of layout. Although every time I look at this one, this particular layout bothers my eye because it's not quite. If you look at this text, it's like not exactly parallel with this line, I don't think. One of them isn't, and it just drives me bonkers. But I'm not grading that, so it doesn't matter. It bugs you because of the giant white spot right here, Amber. Yeah, and you know what? Things like that, you know, you totally could put the date right there. Or maybe they want to have their address for, you know, the location, maybe kind of right justified if they have enough room, and put it over here. So, you know, their different styles are going to have their own little quirks and their own quirks, styles, characteristics. That's kind of what the word I was kind of looking for. Amber says that she feels like the white space is making her eye, you know, drawn to that, which obviously you don't want that because there's nothing there. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. Sky Studios, Devin says Sky Studios is actually in London. I actually looked that up in the last mod. I didn't find that because I was wondering if this was even based on something, but I'll actually have to look that up now. So now this particular student decided to go with an Art Deco theme. So they have this kind of Broadway, Hollywood kind of looking font. And the Art Deco style was also very, actually mathematical I think is really the wrong term for Art Deco. I think more geometric is really more their style. You know, they have a lot of geometric shapes. We have these diamonds, we have rectangles, we have triangles, we have, let's look at this, we got the circles inside of the squares. So this particular person did a lot of varied shapes, and they didn't necessarily keep it all asymmetrical either. We have this nice area here that kind of looks like almost like a burst. Obviously they were trying to feature their offer. And we have this reversed kind of area, the white text within the teal rectangle here. It also shows some contrast, so it's not like a white background like we have up top here. Art Deco also kind of has like a really a kind of verticalness, if you want to call it that. A lot of those kind of emphasize height. This particular piece doesn't have it, but you'll notice a lot that I think it's the Rocketeer poster kind of has like that really steep diagonal that they use a lot too. You think Chrysler Building. Chrysler Building is this huge, you know, I was gonna say monstrosity, but it's not a monstrosity. It's gorgeous, but it's this really unbelievable building that was created at the time. You know, really, really tall, kind of emphasizes height. So, so this is what we are going to be doing. You notice that in both of these ads, we have Sky Studios, we have the grand opening, we have the offer, and we have the website. And this one doesn't have the date either, so they probably you put these up and then included the date and the instructions after the fact. And Amber says, they use movement. Yes, that is actually very typical of a lot of different styles you'll see. but they do it in different ways. And that is a really great aspect to kind of pinpoint depending on your particular style. This one has a lot of movement. This particular one has a lot of movement. Vertically, diagonals are very kind of dynamic. Psychedelic era, very, very much kind of like pulsating or hypnotic kind of movement. Trying to think, we're going to think Lester Beal, but that's for week 3, so I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to jump ahead. I'm trying to think of other ones. Actually, if psychedelic also has movement, and just in the fact that it's kind of curvilinear and kind of organic kind of shapes. So let's move on a little bit. I'll make sure I do these assignment steps. So assignment number 2, you're going to be able to put this together in 5 different steps. Number 1, you're going to choose the period that you want and research it if you feel that you have not appropriately done enough research from last week. If you feel that you were pretty thorough in your research from last week, then you've kind of already done that step and you can go ahead and move on. Make sure that you set up your Illustrator document as a 300 by 600 pixel. Industry standard is width times height. And then if you're doing something 3-dimensional like a box, using packaging design, then it would be length times width times height. That can get very confusing, and it's one of my pet peeves in the industry. I have salespeople all the time that tell me to do something, for example, like the 600 by 300, then they can't figure out why I made it longer than I made it tall. And it's just because they're not saying it right. And vendors even do the same thing. It drives me absolutely bonkers. So then number 3, you're going to take that text from the Word document and you're going to make sure you include all of that text. You're going to apply appropriate font styles, elements. So for elements, we have line, color, shape. If you want to even throw patterning or texture in there, that's fine too. Be sure to apply those principles: CRAP, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And then save your AI file for your own use. Always make sure you save your native files in case you ever need to make changes. Export your PDF and submit it to me. Try to put the error that you're working from in the submission comments in Canvas. That way I can confirm that I know what error it is you're working with. And this is your chance to try something different, to try something new. Maybe you want to research how to do a particular effect. Maybe you like a particular stylistic element. You want to know how to create that. There's so much information online. And if you can't find something, let me know. I can probably direct you to it. There's just amazing, amazing resources out there that can show you step by step, even in like a 3-minute video. It's absolutely unbelievable. So when you are figuring out your style, we have a few things to analyze, and that will actually help you break it down to try to figure out exactly how to emulate it. The elements are in this first column. These are the ones that would have been indicated in the pre-recorded session: point, line, shape, color, texture, and type. And then our good old friends: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity, good old CRAP. Make some notes if you need to, so that you don't forget certain things, especially if there is a particular element that you find you really like. You want to make sure you include it. Sketch things out either by hand or in the program if that's going to help you. And then find those components in your pieces. A very great way, I'll even show you how to do it right now. Very great way to kind of get a good idea of something really is good old Google. You can kind of get a good feel. Look at that. It pops right up. To get a good feel of a particular style, to just click on images and scroll. See what comes up. You're going to end up getting a really good idea of, a kind of general feel. Like, for example, these are not psychedelic pieces, and it's probably showing up mainly because I'm looking for graphic design era traits. So, you know, let's even change the wording a little bit. See that it actually kind of filtered out all of those non-psychedelic pieces. We have a lot of color. We have a lot of patterning. We have lots of words that are actually this is a great example. Words that actually make up the design itself. We have, oh, I love this. I actually saw him. He turned 500 the year that I went out there, and he is massive. He was not wearing a choker, though, when I went to see him. Kevin says, for the elements of design, I came up with an acronym to help me remember it. Peggy lost Shirley coming through the tunnel. So point, line, shape. Oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. I want to make sure that I'm getting this right because it's messing me up. Peggy lost Shirley coming through the tunnel. Nice, Kevin. I am so going to have to put that up. Thank you. I'm absolutely going to put that up because I'm absolutely going to remember that now too. So let us see. Actually, let's go back. Let's go back here. We had find the components. Use Illustrator if you need to convert something to vector. Vector, remember, is that particular type of image that it's non-lossy, which means you do not lose any of the quality no matter how big or small you make it, because it has that mathematical algorithm. And especially when you're doing things that are flat, oh my God, it's so much easier to work with, and the quality is so much nicer. So use vector when you can. It doesn't always work. It's not always appropriate. But if you can, I highly recommend it. And then modify your imagery as you need to, both with the things that you might be finding and downloading and as you're working. Maybe you are downloading, maybe Sky Studios for you is an airy, dreamy bakery, and you downloaded an image of a cupcake because you loved it and it has a cherry on top, and then you realize halfway through that the cherry doesn't make sense. Take it out. You know, kind of see what works for your layout, and you might end up with one idea and then find out that the direction you're going to end up going is completely different, and that's totally fine. So tools and tips, I've kind of actually already said some of these, but AI tutorials, Adobe, YouTube, they're all out there. They're amazing. Effects, if they're appropriate, they're not always going to be appropriate. You know, don't use a drop shadow just because you think you should. If it enhances your image, if it makes it look more like the era style, go ahead. Imagery and graphics, I'll actually go over a couple of different places that I don't think I put them in the announcements just yet, because I have some announcements that I use very often that I just put out as a schedule. I think I have it set to go out tomorrow, but I'll go over them today anyways. Using appropriate fonts for the era, you can do Adobe fonts. DaFont is my favorite. I know Devin mentioned one that he likes to use in the very first week when we were talking about it. So if you have a favorite site, absolutely, you know, dive right in. Use appropriate colors. There's Adobe Color Exploration. It's on the Adobe site that can help you. You can take a look at, like I said, just going through the Google images and kind of getting an idea, a generic idea of like the bunch of them as a whole, and then picking a couple kind of can help as well. Make sure that you are checking yourself, checking your image for contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity, and go through the rubric. The rubric is right at the bottom of all of these assignments and assessments, and I lost the page. Where did it go? There we go. Sorry, I had closed it out. It's right here. So it gives you everything. This is exactly what I use when I'm grading. So you're going to know exactly what I'm going to be looking for. Come back up here. And take notes for the assessment. And the reason for that is because your assessment is going to be, don't worry, I'm going to go back to the demo. Your assessment is going to be you explaining how you came up with your design. You're going to be talking a little bit about your design process, what elements, principles you used, which elements you used, where they can be found and why you chose them. Okay, and then like I had mentioned previously, you'll talk a little bit about why you think it works or why you think it doesn't work, how maybe you can improve it if you decide that you don't think it really worked. And in this one, you can write it in Word if you want. I kind of suggest skipping over that particular step because you're just going to end up having to put it in InDesign anyways. But if it's easier for you to make sure that your spelling and grammar are correct, be my guest. That is absolutely fine. Copy it though, and then put it into your InDesign file. So you're going to end up with 2 pages in InDesign for your assessment. And then go over the points that are listed in your assessment. Just going right over here. Here we go. You'll have your introduction paragraph, your body, and your conclusion. And it'll talk a little bit. These are the different points to make sure you hit. Talking about the design problem, what you needed to do, how you designed it, what your process was, your decisions, etc., etc. These are your assignment instructions, which essentially I just went over, but this is just a bulleted version. To reiterate, you don't have to use Word to write it if you don't want. You can completely skip that and then write it in InDesign if you want. And if you do prefer to write it in Word, just copy it and then paste it into page 1 of your InDesign file. Make sure, like I said, always save your native files so that you can change things if you need to. You're going to save it for the typical naming convention, and then you need to export it as a PDF because, again, I cannot view the InDesign files in Canvas, and if I can't view it, I can't grade it. If I can't grade it, I can't give you guys full points. So that is that portion. I'm down here, okay? Copy and place your ad on the second page. So you're going to have your assignment that you're sending to me for your assignment, and then you're going to copy it, or you're going to copy and paste that into the second page. So the first page for your assessment will be your critique. The second page will be the actual ad, so I can reference it while I am reading it. Save the InDesign file, save it as a 2-page PDF, view the file, blah, blah, blah. I already went all over this. No, we're not doing more critiques just yet because we need to go over the assignment. We're going to back up here a little bit. I just was kind of on a roll talking, so I like to kind of do things in clumps. So we are going to start out today. Actually, let me even stop right there as I'm getting this document set up. For my 4 students that came in today, do any of you have any questions so far with what I have gone over? Whether it be for the assignment, the assessment, any of those kinds of things. We have a note from Heather, a note from Devin, a note from Amber, and a note from Kevin. All right. I am just typing something in real quick here on one of my resources. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Okay. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to use. Oh, dear Lord, they're making my eyes do cuckoo things. Okay. So 300 by 600 pixels, I believe, was the dimension. I'm just going to verify that right here before I tell everyone the wrong thing. Okay, sometimes it's hard to keep them straight. 300 by 600 pixels. And I'm going to copy my file name as well. Okay, 300 pixels by 600 pixels. Obviously, I haven't done anything in this particular program since last mod. Personally like Corel Draw myself. But that's just because I do a lot of screen print vector work, so. Okay. Now, before I do anything else as well, I'm going to save this, type in my era, psychedelic era, type in my name, bingo, and now I am all set there. Devin is asking if the style is in the file name, so both, even in the submission comments. Yes, it just kind of verifies that I am definitely going to know what error you are going for. I very often will have students put it in the submission and then name the file wrong, or vice versa. So that way I can definitely make sure that I know what I am grading. Okay. Now I'm going to also go back to, oh, my Word document has closed out of Google, so, Chrome, so I have to go find it again with my text. And like I did last week with the flashcards, I like to make sure that I have, or my type tool, I like to make sure that I have all my copy in the file with me, just so I don't forget anything. And I am going to bring over my browser right here. This is what I was typing over. This is Vexy. This is one of the free sites that this particular one provides vector artwork. You can also try Vexels. And in the announcement that I provide, I actually give I think it's 2 articles, maybe one, but I think it's 2 articles, that actually has a list of different sites for stock photos and other artwork. And especially since you guys are students, don't pay for anything, because unless it's something you really love, it's totally not necessary to be paying for things. This particular site, I know it gives you like a limit of how many per day that you can download, but you can get around that by using other browsers. But shush, I didn't say that. Vexels, I have not had that happen to me yet, but I think it's probably just because I have not used it as often. But so what I did here was actually, let me even back up. Vexy.com is the website, and I just typed in psychedelic imagery, and this is what I came up with. So, trying to figure out what in God's name I want to use here, and I think I like this one. So some of them you just have to be careful, because it might bring you directly to Shutterstock, which they have, sometimes they have better images, but you have to pay for a lot of those. So I am just going to download this one because I like it. Okay, and you will most likely have to unzip or extract your imagery. And this is even, you don't have to do this. If you would like to, create something yourself, that's fine. If you're doing, for example, the Swiss style, maybe you're not going to need a lot of imagery. That is one of the wonderful things about this, there we go, about this industry, is you get to decide what you want to use. So I'm just looking for it right now to find out where the heck it extracted to. Because that's not it. And I know it extracted. Oh yeah, Devin, is it Devin saying, yeah, you have a good idea that it would take you forever to, oh goodness. I realized a long time ago I didn't have to, oh, I just totally did something and I don't know what I did. I realized a long time ago that I didn't have to create everything from scratch. It definitely can take a heck of a lot longer to do that, even if, even if that's actually what I wanted to do. I tried creating a brush not too long ago of a zipper, because I had some garments that I was trying to lay out templates for, and it was going to take me absolutely forever. Whoops. That's interesting. So I ended up just, oh, that's why. Oh, see, now it only has Mac file. For crying out loud. All right, so it looks like I might have to change that to do something different. Oh, that bums me out. Let's try this one more time. Yep, it looks like I am not going to be able to. Oh, wait a minute. I can use this one, though. So why are you telling me that I can't do that? Yes, replace them. Let's see what that happens. Let's see what goes on now. There we go. All right, let me. You guys watching may have just seen of something I did wrong. I'm not sure. There we go. That's what I want to do. All right, I am going to zoom out just a little bit. And you will probably, if you do something like what I've just done and you actually download something, you will most likely need to embed it. Otherwise, you won't be able to edit it. And somehow I went into isolation mode. That was by accident. Depending on whatever image you happen to have downloaded and how it is built, sometimes it will have a clipping mask. So like, for example, right now I have the direct selection tool, but there we go. See, we have this bounding box right here. It was all clipped out. Sometimes you'll need to release it again. Sometimes there won't be a clipping mask. Sometimes it will just be grouped together. All kind of depends on how the designer had built the artwork. I'm going to get rid of all that stuff. And I think, there we go. I'm going to group that back in together. I am going to use this as a portion of my design, I think. I don't know if I'm going to use it all. I have not decided yet. Let's see. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll actually. Yeah, I think that'll work. But I think I actually also would like to maybe put a little bit of color in it. And yeah, I'm gonna go, oh, you know what? I'm actually gonna go orange. And I'm gonna actually see if I can make this, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Flashback to your high school days, Dad. There we go. It actually kind of looks like a tiger now because I want to make these blue. I'm going to go to select same and fill color, and I'm going to pick this black here once it decides it wants to come up. Oh, it's not doing it. Let's do that. Same fill color. There we go. I'm actually going to pick a blue. Let's see. I kind of want, I think, want something bright. Let's do that. Ooh. There we go. That's kind of nice and ugly. Will definitely pop in someone's face. Miami Dolphin colors. Yeah, actually, you're right. All right, so now I'm going to start actually adding some of this text here. Sky Studio grand opening. So now I'm going to have to be kind of, where was I? You're great. we have some nice comments going on in the chat over here. So now, as I'm working with this particular design here, I'm probably going to try to keep at least the text that's going to be small. I'm going to try to keep that a little bit more simple so that I can actually make sure that it's readable. And let's see. Let's go. I'm going to start out with the grand opening. And like I mentioned earlier, I do have a font in mind here. I don't know if I have it installed on this particular. Oh, actually, that's not the one I had in mind, but I'm gonna hang on to that just in case the other one isn't installed. Where are you? And I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Yep, Awesome Accident Era. You know what? One of my favorite artists in history, not necessarily for the art he created, but for his whole philosophy, is Bob Ross. Happy accidents, man. I love trying to figure out what I can do with things that happen by accident. Let's see, and it's not showing up, so I must not have it installed in here. That one doesn't really give off what I'm looking for. And neither does that one really. So now this is kind of would be a great example of something that I might want to go to. Actually, that could work. This would be actually a great example of something that I might want to go to DeFont for and see what I could come up with. I probably won't download anything else right now, but this is really more kind of what I was looking for, this keep on trucking one. Raccoon could have worked, heavy heap. So there's lots of different, you know, kinds of things. Oh, and I hadn't even thought about like Pac-Man kind of thing, but you know, so I wouldn't necessarily go with something like this because the background is already so busy. I want to make sure that I can actually read it. Maybe one of these kinds of things would work, but Ravi seems to work. So let's maybe do something with this one. And so we have grand opening. We have skystudios.com. And think about maybe what you want to be advertising. What do you think Sky Studios is? Devin, you grew up watching Bob Ross too. I watch him or listen to him while I'm working constantly on Netflix, constantly. It just makes me, I don't know, it relaxes me. SkyStudios.com. You know what? That's really a little bit more fancy than I want to get, I think. So you're more American realist, Kevin. Kevin likes Norman Rockwell. Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with good old Norman. See, even though, you know what? Well, I'm going to see how that works. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. I might want to change that up. I actually might even want to change the color. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So, you know, think about, as I was saying, and then I interrupted myself, think about what you want to be advertising. Is Sky Studio a paint your own pottery place? Is it, I don't know, is it a place where people go skydiving? Is it a photography studio? You know, think about the kind of imagery that you might want to use based on the place that you are advertising. I actually think I want to maybe, sorry, I'm kind of like all over the place here because I haven't really decided what I want to do. I think I'm going to try to work this a little bit. Let's see what I can do with this. Because I don't want it to look cheesy, but I do want to kind of, I want to give it a little bit of movement, I think. There we go. And I always kind of, whenever I do something like this, where I'm creating an effect, I always use, I keep the unedited one over to the side in case I have to do anything else with it. Let's see, skystudios.com. All right, let's get, I can't seem to get the text I want. There we go. All right, and this one was AR Essence. I think I'm gonna use that one for up here as well. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna make that all caps as well. Let's see. Here we go. Story behind the words. Amber, I think that you were probably talking about thinking about what you are advertising, the imagery that you're picking. And yes, you're absolutely right. Let's see. You know what? I don't like how much space there is right here, so I'm going to actually bring it down just a little bit. See how that works. And this might not work. We'll give it a try. See if it works. Actually, you know what I want to do? Let's see. Oh, man, I'm running out of time already. I hate that. DZ. Psychedelic. And you know, sometimes I like to get my imagery up a little bit. You know, I downloaded it first, but I also kind of like to show you guys just that, like how raw the process can be. And, you know, kind of, oh, here we go. This is totally what I'm going to do. There we go. It's a recording studio. But I like to kind of show you guys really from scratch how to go about doing these kinds of things. Because the design process sometimes isn't pretty. And I don't want to give off that attitude, that air about it, because it can be tricky sometimes. Let's see what I got here. And I do see that suggestion, Amber. That might do it. Whoa, here we go. Way too big. And I don't need all of them. All right, so I'm going to embed that guy in so I can take some of these guys out. Because I actually kind of like all the little confetti in the background, though. I just need one of these guys. Oops. Let's bring it down here. And let's see. Because that might be what I do. I'm not sure. Come on, keep going. Oh, crying out loud. That was too much. All right, bring you back down here. There we go. Sorry, I'm like thinking while I'm doing it. There we go. And these never turn out exactly how I wanted to because I don't have as much time as I would like in these classes, obviously, but I'm going to actually match this black up, or, you know, it can completely delete it. My swatches. I want it to be rich black. There we go. That too. There we go. So now, and actually we kind of can see the background through there as well. And I think I want to make that a little bit bolder. Whether I do a red or a pink, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. There we go. That one's better, I think. Okay, so now we're working. Now we're working. So I could even actually, let's see. I could maybe grab this one down here. And I think I'm going to make this my, I'm going to make this my burst, I think. But I'm actually going to make it all the same color, I think. I'm going to do something like that. I'm not sure. See, and this is where you would try out different things. See what works for you. Where's my 20% off all retail? And I might, you know, go back and forth and realize, you know what, I really don't like the way that looks. I want to change it. I might spend some more time, oops, you know, fiddling around with this particular cassette. Maybe I just want to change the colors and I don't want to make the whole thing pink. Oh, you know what? I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it like this. There we go. What's the keyboard shortcut to bring layers to front to back? So let me see. It would be Control Shift and what is the brace for Windows, and so I believe it's Command Shift in the braces. So the little bracket thingies. Let me. Oops. These guys. They are up near like your backspace. Okay. And I believe it is, oh goodness, and now. Okay, so if you hold down the shift key, it'll bring it back all the way to the back and all the way to the front. If you do not hold the shift key with Command, then it will do it layer by layer. Oh my goodness, and I can't believe how late I am running today. I am so sorry. Nope, I don't want that one. I want Rabby. I wanted to just do one or two more quick little things so that it at least looks a little bit more done for you guys. Woo. Being laid up yesterday kind of messed me up. Ugh. So I'm like trying to play catch up, actually, because I don't want it all the way up there. I want this one down here. And I am trying to figure out, because I need to do something else with this. The black is not working for me on the pink. What do you guys think? Maybe yellow, maybe? I don't know. Maybe, oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, maybe if I do the yellow. Yeah, actually, that's a little bit better. So, I mean, one of the things I absolutely love about this industry is that it is so much fun to try things and to create. And, you know, it's just, the possibilities are just endless, and nothing is permanent. You can totally change things at the, you know, the drop of a hat, which to me is just really awesome because my likes change constantly. Oh, that one didn't change on me. We are, this is sorry, to make sure we get all of the text in here because I've forgotten that. There we go. Actually, I don't like that placement right there. Yeah, see, and even here, I would probably actually try, I would play with this here a little bit. Where's my type? Character, there we go. I'll try to, oh, yes, 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 I know. There we go. Try to decrease the spacing in there just a little bit. Usually get customers who ask for little tweaks all the time. Within seconds I send them what they want, as if they're controlling my hands. Yep, yep, and you totally get like that too, Devin. I have a woman that I work with that tells me she hates me because of how fast I can do certain things. But you know, and like Kevin said, it is repetition. You eventually kind of figure things out. And this is not exactly where I would want to go with it here. Let me see. I don't know. That's not really doing what I want it to do either. Because I want to make sure that I can read it so that people actually know when it is. But I don't like the way that it's doing that funky thing up top. And that might just be because I didn't convert it. But this is actually, like I wanted to make sure that I did for you, Kevin. It's essentially the exact same thing in Illustrator and in design. For those of you watching before the recording started, we had a question about some fonts that were causing a little bit of a problem in last week's assignment. So I said, you know, we're trying to kind of rule out the possibilities that could be causing the problem. So I said, you know, if you think it's the font, convert the font to outlines and save it and see if that fixes the problem. Sometimes font files are very finicky. So right now you can see that my date here is editable. I can change this as much as I want. However, if I make it into an object like I've actually done up here, you can actually see the outlines here because this has an effect applied as well. I can actually expand that and get rid of that effect entirely, but I cannot double click it to adjust the text. I cannot change that text anymore. That's why I put this little guy off to the side. Exit. Well, actually, I'm not in isolation mode. So the keystroke for that would be Control-Shift-O for outlines or Command-Shift-O. So now, if I double click into it, now I'm in isolation mode. I can remove them just like regular objects, but I cannot typeset them anymore. And like I mentioned, Kevin, I'm actually going to bring, this is my InDesign over here. It is essentially the exact same thing in here. You create your text box. which my tools are, they're on my other screen over here, because that's where I usually do them. Okay, if I have my text box right here, which actually my text box is a little bit bigger than I really wanted to make it. And right now I am Control-Shift-O, bingo, or Command-Shift-O. So now it's the same thing. I'm going to ungroup them by doing Control-G. Or, you know, no, maybe not. It is, oh, you know what, it might be combined actually. Yep, there it was combined. So now it's not editable. It's just a bunch of objects. Okay, and you can see after I do it as well, you can watch it. You see how my text box is this big thing right now, but when I convert it, it's just right around the objects. Okay. Devin says there's a more complex way to convert the font to object. Then you can manipulate the access points to warp it how you want. That you just did, oh, I just did what I oh, all right. Well, there we go, Devin. Apparently you and I were on the right wavelength. So I would totally keep tweaking this just because I'm not especially happy with it, but this is essentially what you're going to end up doing, okay? I have, as I've been going, I've been saving it, Control-S, Command-S, okay? You are going to go up to Save As and save it as a PDF when you're done, okay? And I'm opening it up from my desktop right here, and you're gonna end up with your project, okay? And you can see how I have a whole bunch of crap along my my artboard right here. You don't see any of that here because that's not what it's saving. It's only saving my artboard here. So, so you can save whatever you need to in your InDesign, I mean your Illustrator file, and I won't see any of that stuff. So, so that is the assignment for this week. I do want to make sure, oh, nope, that's not the right one. I just want to make sure in the announcements, because I said I didn't think I had, I don't have the art announcement posted just yet, but like I mentioned, I believe if it's not going up tonight, it should be going up tomorrow night with the font and stock art imagery. God, I can't talk. It's been a long day. But do any of you guys have any questions about anything while we are still in session here? Saving images, fonts, how to do anything. Heather is asking off subject, but is there a secret question for this lecture? Yes, there is. And I actually did it right before the, there we go, right before the demo. So I did it early. So we have spiders and robots, or AI, artificial intelligence, as I swear to God that they're going to take over at some point. Ooh, old dolls. That's a good one, Heather. Wicked good one. I once went through an open house of a house that this woman was probably like 80 years old. She had them all over the place, and so obviously my husband and I did not buy that place. Getting ready to see Chucky like pop out from behind the closet door. Clowns is a big one for me too, Kevin. Wicked. I don't understand the appeal. But how about you, Devin? Any scary things for you? My 4-year-old's nickname is Chucky, a freaking leprechaun. Oh, goodness. Oh, you used to work as a clown? Oh, my God, that's too funny. That's too funny. We just bought a house and found an oversized on one of the crawl spaces. Oh, Lord. Oh, you guys crack me up. You guys crack me up. Well, as I was saying, I think we went over everything here. Oh, maybe underwater creatures. Yeah, they were pretty creepy. especially the deeper they go. The deeper you go under the water, oh, they, I swear to God, they need the light. But anyways, I think we are good to go, and I know that we ran over a little bit tonight, so definitely won't be doing any more critiques. But for those of you watching, and for those of you that came in today, if you had wanted a critique of yours and I didn't touch upon any of yours in your assignment, feel free to shoot me a message, and I can do it on Thursday and during the multi-session, and I can record it and I can send it to you, or you can come in and we can critique it together. So just let me know. And for anybody out there, definitely give me a call if you have any questions. Shoot me a message. Again, I apologize and thank everyone for the patience for the last minute change yesterday and for the grades being a little bit later. I am working diligently to get those out. So, well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I guess we will just say adieu tonight and hope that you all have a very pleasant evening. The recording will be posted in just a little while, okay? Thank you very much, Heather. Yeah, it was a rough one there, but all right, well, have a great one, everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight.